Which ones are the best ways to improve capitalism? The best way to improve capitalism is to practice it more consistently. Capitalism is the economic system based on individual private property rights. The most consistent form of capitalism is full, free market, laissez-faire capitalism, where everyone's property rights are respected, and the role of government, if any, is only to protect property rights and other negative rights from aggression. Instead of laissez-faire capitalism, we have what an already collapsed answer to this question calls for: capitalism mixed with socialism. We have a mixed economy with many socialist, fascist, Keynesian, and sometimes outright Marxist policies. Many policies, if not actually Marxist themselves, are responses to Marx's fallacious criticisms of capitalism, supposedly intended to save capitalism from its supposed internal contradictions. We have a government-created central bank called the Federal Reserve, which manipulates interest rates and the supply of government-issued, legal tender, paper fiat monopoly money. This is the cause of the modern business cycle, and helps provide big Wall Street corporations with easy low-interest money, enriching them at the expense of everyone else. The Fed also has regulatory powers, making it, despite its nominal private ownership, a government regulatory agency. We have occupational and business licensing that keeps many poor and middle-class people from going into business for themselves. We have massive government spending which diverts resources away from producing goods which consumers choose to what government officials think people need. Imagine all the steel, fuel, and other physical resources used to wage war on the other side of the planet being instead used to produce consumer goods to be used by the poor and middle class here in America. Abolish all of these policies, and many more, and we will see an improved version of capitalism, one that serves the people better, instead of enriching a few oligarchs. Well, there are good regulations and bad ones, good laws and bad ones. People argue about which ones they are, except for the extremists who want to have no regulations so that people are dying in the streets from drinking Poland spring water or eating at McDonald's, and a factory can dump toxic waste directly into your backyard. The government gives out subsidies to various companies and industries. This is supposed to help a budding industry get started. There are plenty of subsidies to giant corporations that do not need handouts, and tax loopholes that they exploit to pay no taxes. We could get rid of those. I see no reason why oil companies or big banks should get extra tax breaks or flat-out handouts that my little sole proprietorship doesn't enjoy. So end the corporate welfare program. A law that could get dumped immediately is the Jones Act. Remember poor little Puerto Rico? Completely stunted economically by this law that basically gives a joint monopoly to a few companies on all shipping to and from Puerto Rico. Imagine if you had a legal lock on 1/5 of the shipping in and out of Texas, for example. It would be great for you, but how is that good for capitalism? Temple Grandin is an animal rights activist who consults with the US government sometimes. Livestock industry people love her. There were stupid, complicated regulations in place about what kinds of materials floors could be made of and what kinds of angles allowed for ramps at slaughterhouses, intricate, murder to follow. Temple Grandin replaced them with, don't let more than 5% of the cows fall down. Which was the point of the stupid regulations in the first place. Companies could figure out how to fulfill the requirement any way they wanted without being micromanaged. That's an example of replacing a bad regulation with a good one. A huge number of regulations exist because people died without them. Some of those regulations are stupidly implemented. Replace them, don't just throw them out and go back to killing people. Rewrite the bad regs into good ones. Personally, I think eliminating fast trades would be a good idea. People play games with the stock market, messing with people's livelihoods and lives. All so that they can try to make an even quicker buck. We already had to eliminate computerized trading because it crashed the market nearly instantly when it was tried. If you buy stock in a company, you should be required to hang on to it for some stretch of time before you are allowed to sell it again. Ownership of stock should be a responsibility, not just a perk or a damned game. Half the problems in the world today stem from too many people managing to separate rights from responsibilities and hogging the former while ditching the latter.